Your birthday is coming up. Friends are asking about plans. Family wants to know what you want. Social media will expect the obligatory celebration post. And you feel nothing, not sadness, not anticipation. Just a quiet indifference that confuses people who assume everyone wants their special day acknowledged. You've learned to perform enthusiasm, to say, oh, maybe just something small, when what you really mean is, I'd rather this day didn't exist. To smile to the force attention, the performative singing, the expectation that you should feel grateful for aging another year. And here's what should awaken you. This isn't depression. This isn't antisocial behavior. This is something far more interesting. Arthur Schopenhauer spent his life studying the fundamental nature of human will and desire. What he discovered destroys the comfortable lie that celebration equals happiness. That external acknowledgement creates internal meaning. He found that certain individuals develop what he called philosophical temperament, a fundamental disconnect from collective rituals that most people need to feel alive. You're not broken because you don't want birthday attention. You're not damaged because forced celebration feels hollow. You're operating from a different psychological architecture than the masses who require external validation of their existence. The people who treat birthdays like normal days aren't depressed. They're psychologically sovereign in a way most people never achieve. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what this reveals about consciousness, authenticity, and the terror of being truly independent. Schopenhauer wrote, "We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people." What did he mean? In his time, he watched people participate in social rituals they didn't believe in, performing joy they didn't feel, celebrating milestones that meant nothing to them. They surrendered authenticity for acceptance. They performed enthusiasm to avoid being labeled difficult, depressed, or different. Today, this dynamic has industrialized itself through social media birthday culture, the performative celebration economy, and a world that interprets your lack of enthusiasm as psychological deficiency. You're supposed to want attention. You're supposed to feel special. You're supposed to celebrate aging as achievement. Watch what happens when you don't. When you tell people, "I don't really do birthdays," they respond with concern. "Are you okay? Did something happen?" You should treat yourself. As if your indifference to arbitrary calendar significance indicates mental illness rather than mental clarity. Meanwhile, others perform elaborate birthday celebrations not because they want them, but because not wanting them would require explanation. The dinner, the gifts, the social media posts, the performance of gratitude for aging as if getting closer to death deserves congratulation. Have you noticed this? That people seem more invested in your birthday than you are? That your lack of enthusiasm makes them uncomfortable in ways they can't articulate? This is the first mechanism, but it goes deeper. Most people need external events to feel alive. There's a reason birthday culture exists. For most people, life is a flat line of routine punctuated only by designated special days that give them permission to feel. Kierkegaard observed, "People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for freedom of thought, which they seldom use." In his time, he witnessed masses living in what he called unconscious despair, going through motions without genuine existence. They needed external events to temporarily wake them from psychological sleep. But today, we weaponize this dependency. Birthday culture has become mandatory performance. If you don't celebrate, you're ungrateful. If you don't post, you're hiding. If you don't want attention, something's wrong with you. Think about someone who makes their birthday into a week-long event, who needs the dinner, the gifts, the social media countdown, the performative gratitude. They're not celebrating existence. They're desperately trying to feel it. The ritual isn't about joy. It's about temporarily escaping the numbness of living unconsciously. Here's what Kierkegaard understood that most people miss. The need for birthday celebration reveals an inability to generate internal meaning. If you require external acknowledgement to feel your existence matters, you don't actually believe it matters. You, who treat birthdays like normal days, don't need the ritual. Not because you're depressed, because you found meaning elsewhere. You don't need a calendar to tell you when to feel alive. This is why they're uncomfortable. Your indifference reveals their dependency. Society punishes those who won't perform. There's an unspoken social contract. You celebrate my birthday, I celebrate yours. You perform enthusiasm for my existence, I'll perform it for yours. Everyone pretends this matters, Nietzsche wrote. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. He understood that refusing to participate in collective rituals, even meaningless ones, marks you as dangerous, not because you're harming anyone, but because your authenticity threatens their performance. Today, birthday culture is social performance theater, the Instagram post, the group dinner, the gifts, the cake. None of it is about the person. It's about maintaining the social fiction that these rituals create meaning. And when you refuse to participate in your own celebration, you break the contract. You reveal that the emperor has no clothes. If birthdays don't matter to you, maybe they don't actually matter to anyone. Maybe everyone's just performing. Watch how defensive people get. But it's your birthday, they insist, as if the rotation of Earth around the sun regarding your birth date has inherent significance. They're not upset you're missing out. They're upset you're revealing their ritual is arbitrary. Here's what Nietzsche knew. Authentic indifference to social rituals is more threatening than active rebellion. Rebellion acknowledges the ritual matters enough to oppose. Indifference reveals it never mattered at all. You're quiet. I don't really celebrate is existential terrorism to people who need these rituals to feel real. You've confronted what they're avoiding. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Birthdays celebrate getting older, closer to death. 1 year less of existence remaining. Marcus Aurelius observed, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. As Emperor of Rome, he practiced memento mori, daily contemplation of mortality. He didn't celebrate aging. He used it as fuel for living consciously. Every year was an achievement. It was a reminder. But modern birthday culture inverts this completely. We celebrate aging while pretending we're not aging. We mark time passing while avoiding what that means. Birthday candles are denial rituals disguised as celebration. You, who don't celebrate birthdays, have made peace with something most people spend their lives avoiding. Time passes whether you acknowledge it or not. Celebrating doesn't slow it. Ignoring doesn't stop it. You've accepted the fundamental reality they're desperately pretending doesn't exist. Think about someone who needs elaborate birthday recognition. They're not celebrating life. They're performing denial of death. Look how special I am. Surely someone to celebrate it can't be mortal. Here's what Marcus understood. Conscious relationship with time doesn't require celebration. It requires acceptance. You don't need a yearly party to acknowledge existence. You live it daily with full awareness of its finite nature. This is why your indifference disturbs them. It reminds them of what they're avoiding. But here's where Schopenhauer's wisdom becomes truly powerful, where understanding transforms into conscious operation. Everything I've described is operating unconsciously in people who need birthday celebrations. They're dependent on rituals they don't understand, performing for validation they can't generate internally, avoiding mortality through collective denial. You see the mechanisms, and that awareness is liberation. Your indifference to birthdays isn't pathology, it's psychological maturity. While others require external events to feel alive, you generate internal meaning. While they need calendar permission to feel special, You understand your existence doesn't require annual acknowledgement. While they celebrate to avoid death awareness, you've integrated it. Schopenhauer didn't celebrate his own birthdays. He understood that consciousness doesn't need ritual validation, that authentic existence doesn't require performative recognition, that being comfortable with your own significance is more powerful than needing others to confirm it. Here's your strategic advantage. While they're enslaved to social rituals, you're free. While they perform enthusiasm they don't feel, you live authentically. While they require external validation of existence, you found internal sovereignty. This is an antisocial. It's psychologically independent. You don't need the world to celebrate you because you're not seeking validation from the world. You exist on your own terms, by your own recognition, through your own meaning. And that terrifies people who've never learned how. Remember that upcoming birthday? The one people keep asking about? Here's what you see now. Their insistence isn't about you. It's about them. They need you to celebrate so they can maintain the collective fiction that these rituals matter. Your indifference threatens their dependency. Schopenhauer's final wisdom. The wise have always said the same things, and fools, who are the majority, have always done just the opposite. He understood that psychological sovereignty, treating birthdays as normal days, requires separating from a herd's rituals, not through rebellion, but through genuine indifference born of consciousness. Here's the truth that brings peace. You will always confuse people who need these rituals. This will never change. They will interpret your indifference as sadness, your authenticity as antisocial behavior, your consciousness as depression. You can only accept it. And in that acceptance, you find freedom. Freedom to exist without performative celebration. Freedom to mark time without denial. Freedom to be psychologically self-sufficient. This week, when your birthday comes, notice the pressure to perform. Notice the expectation to feel special. Notice the discomfort your indifference creates in others. Don't change it, just observe it. Consciousness precedes choice. Write in the comments, I choose meaning over ritual. Schopenhauer spent his life showing that the masses cling to rituals because they lack internal meaning. Your indifference to birthdays isn't missing out. It's evidence you found what they're still seeking. Stop performing celebration you don't feel. Accept the sovereignty. And finally live on your own terms.